You are listening to the Mountainside Podcast, and joining us in studio is Brandon Girtz. Brandon is a professional fighter fighting in bare-knuckle boxing, Bellator MMA. He has had an extensive career. Brandon is a unique individual who has a unique perspective on life. I thoroughly enjoyed having him in for this episode, sitting down, getting to know Brandon as a person. We had an absolute blast. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Oh, cheers, brother.
Cheers, cheers.
Great to see you. Good to see you again. We were just talking about Grant Neal, and he's become a friend through the podcast, like many people, many of the guests that we've had on.
Yep.
And we have a lot of mutual friends, but I guess the first time I ran into you was at Bare Knuckle. It was at like an after party, right? And I saw you fight in Bare Knuckle. I think it was 41. You were on the same card with Kamosi, right? I was
on the same card, yeah.
And that was the Mike
I don't
Perry.
remember that.
And
yeah, go somewhere around there.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know, dude. It was crazy. It was all kind of a blur, man. Like, I didn't know what I was signing up for that night, to be honest. I was just going to support the homies.
Yeah, yeah.
And had ringside seats. And next thing I know, Conor McGregor's fucking next to me. And, like...
It was a crazy night.
It was a wild night. You had a hell of a fight that night, dude. I think that was your second fight in Bare Knuckle?
Yeah. So it was good. It was good. It was
Hell
a very enjoyable night. It was a very enjoyable night.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was... dude, I'm a fan of that. Big time.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I enjoy watching it.
Yeah, hell yeah. I think that the best part about that is just for me as a spectator, there's so many guys that I knew that were fighting in it, being from Denver.
Yeah.
Some of the guys we've had on, and so that always makes me more interested in what's going on in a ring or a cage, right? And when you're invested in somebody as a person.
Personal investment, for sure. It's just like the Super Bowl going on. I wanted McCaffrey to win for sure.
Oh, I did. That was so heartbreaking, dude.
Yeah. So I get it. That's the attachment to it. That's awesome.
But yeah, it's just a crazy sport. I mean, 2-minute rounds. They start you guys 3 feet apart. There's a cut normally in the first round every time. So if you're into that sort of thing, like
yeah, then the bare knuckles definitely can make the cuts a little quicker. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure. It's a different thing with that. You wouldn't think so, but it is. It is.
It's just a different sport than MMA or anything like that. It's its own. I feel like with bare knuckle, you genuinely have to be a fighter, and I'm putting words into your guys' mouth because I've never stepped into the bare knuckle ring.
Yeah.
I've been in a few bare knuckle fights back in my day, when I used to think I was tougher than I was, and
That happened.
But yeah, I think that it's more of a fighter sport than like a technician sport. I think a little bit. Like, it seems like guys like yourself and the guys that have a bit more grit and just kind of bite down on the mouthpiece and fucking go for it seem to be running the sport.
I mean, absolutely. You got to know when to bite, though. I think I'm just like that, and I thought it was more of my first fight, more of a brawling sport. Like, oh, easy peasy, But there is a little different technical side, but it's different. Like you said, it's different than MMA. It's different than boxing. It's different. And that's kind of the exciting part about it. But I do agree with you, it's for the dogs. Because that you will see blood will be on you. You ain't choking nobody out. You ain't rocking them and then taking them out. It's like, you're going to see a freaking deer and you're going to have to slaughter it. If you want to get out of there.
Yeah.
If you want to get out of there, no, you hurt them and you just kind of gave them the way out. It's like, no, the way out's going to hurt. Like, you're going to get cut up. Like,
and there's not a whole lot of like, the thing that I really enjoyed about it too is like the UFC or Bellator or PFL or some of these other organizations, those 5-minute rounds you're fighting for 25 minutes. You don't have that time in bare knuckle to sit there and figure somebody out or the round's over, right? Like, it's pretty fucking full on, man. Like, how much does that change up your guys' game plan going into like a camp or just the intensity and...
Yeah. It's different, like you just said, man. The intensity is up a little quicker. All fighting can be that way because if you're not ready for that other person to come back and try to explode for 30 seconds to a minute on you and put you out, like then you're not ready. So you have to bring that intensity to an MMA fight for sure. You have to come in there just as intense because someone can blitz you and put you out if you're not ready for that shit. You know, but you got to be ready for it. The bare knuckle, like you said, there will be a time that it's getting thrown and you're there because you can't just lower for a takedown. You can't create that distance with the kicks right now, especially if it's just bare knuckle boxing. You know, the distance is different, you know, so you will get caught up. You will get caught up in it.
A lot of clinching, man, and you can punch clinch too, right? That's kind of different.
See, that's where it takes the advantage away from boxers. Boxers ain't used to being in that clinch. And even if they think they're really strong, you don't know what you're doing there. And that's the for real thing I've seen. You know, that's just a pro tip one for you right there. For anybody trying to do it, you a boxer, you got to work on that clinch because they don't know how to do it. That's why boxers aren't winning most of these fights. Like if you're watching it, those big boxers they usually lose. It's the MMA fighters that are able to transition a little bit better. They've done a little bit of both, you know. But
I think the level changes too. Like watching you fight, just the level changes that you do going in. It seems like the guys that level change were winning most of the fights, man, because I just don't know if guys are used to getting bull rushed or like, I don't know, man.
Some are, and like you said, once they got it was because a lot of boxers. You got to remember what's coming through here right now. This is, you know, I look at bare knuckle boxing and bare knuckle in general as the new freaking UFC or MMA when it started. You know, people are kind of like, well, that's pretty brutal. I'm going to watch that down. So they watch it like, it's pretty exciting. They're kind of into it. It's, you know, it's not, and it's got to get past that growth. Like, it's really hasn't been big it's been like only 5 years. They haven't been in it that long. Like it's been going on little
I think they've
small
only had
things.
like 50 or 60 of them or something.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The actual big events that we all see mainstream and shit like that, not just happening around the world that we don't see because a lot happens.
Yeah.
You know, that we don't see. But that's how only it's been big that long. You know, so this is a start of something. It's exciting, and it's great for all combat sports. If you ask me, it brings it all to a new level. Like MMA will always still be there. This ain't taking over MMA by any means. Shouldn't be any talk of that or anything like that. They're both needed. They're both important. You know what I mean?
There's so many different practices, right? And it's like there's so many different disciplines. Like that's what I love about the sport is the technical side of it is fucking super intriguing. It's a chess match, man. Like. Say what you will, but when it comes down to it, man, there's some strategy that's involved. And especially if you've stepped onto a jiu-jitsu mat or something, that's the only way you're going to understand that, right? Like in the MMA world and boxing world in general. But I think what makes the sport even more crazy is you have guys like yourself, Justin Gaethje, Grant Neal that are just fighting at this. They're true fighters, man. Like there are some guys that come out and play that technical game and nobody really likes to see that. But like the guys, the Michael Chandlers, the Brandon Girtz, the Chris Camozzi's, you know, those guys that just come out, Dustin Jacoby's that just come out and brawl are the ones that I'm not going to look away from, or I'm going to go spend my pay-per-view money because I want to see that.
Well, because they're not the ones that you ever go to like, oh, Michael Chand's fighting. Oh, Brandon Girtz is fighting. Boring. Like you don't think that in your head. And if you think that in your head is stuff, then why are you going to tune in? But names like that don't. And I've always been about that. Like I'm not going. It's not even about that, but it's just what's naturally been. You're not going to think that about my fights. You're not going to go, oh, Brandon Girtz is fighting. That's bad for the card. You know?
Hell no.
Like I go out there, if you watch my highlights or you see my stuff, I go out there to put it away. I put it all out there. That's why you've also seen some of my fights where I haven't done good because I go against someone that's more trying to be strategic. And it's like, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this guy doesn't want to hurt me. And it's a different thing for me, which is crazy. Like everything's a little different, but if you ever check my fights out and you see the ones where I just take someone's head off, and they usually brought that. You know, they were trying to fight. If you see the fights where it's just more strategic, it's like, well, there's no real one to kill there. You know, now this is just a game of cat and mouse. Who's, oh fuck, I just barely lost. You know,
right?
This isn't who lives here, because that's how I look at it. One's dying in here. You know.
Yeah, and those are the guys that I will not miss their fights, man. It's like that intensity is what I enjoy watching, man. As a fan or as a spectator, it's fucking full on. And my hat goes off to you guys, man. Like going back to some of your fights, I've been watching you for a long time in Bellator, And like, I think one of your most famous fights is when you had that huge gash on your head in the trilogy. I'm sorry, who was that against? I'm fucking drawing a blank.
Derek Campos.
That Campos, that's Campos.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, we're slashed up brothers,
dude.
that's for sure. Yeah, it's
Can we talk about that for a minute? Because like,
that's probably one of my favorite fights, honestly, because that's someone I do like, and this was our third fight against each other, so we both were 1 for 1. You know, he likes to fight too. So I remember the first time I fought him, I look over at the cage, staring at him like I usually do, and he looks back at me, and I can tell the difference when someone's an actual fighter or they're there for sport. He looks at me, I see him like, oh, all right, you're here to fight. Like, he's here to fight. He's here to fight.
Yeah.
Like, you can feel it. Like when you get in there and you've done this stuff enough and you look people in the eyes, and just throughout life, you can look somebody in the eyes and you can tell what their intentions are. That's what I'm always trying to look for in anything.
Body language, right?
Body language and eyes,
huge.
man. Body language and eyes. You know, eyes are important, dude. That's the way of the soul. Like, you can see that. They can't lie.
Right.
You know, so it tells you, like, I'm here to fight.
I feel like you're looking through my soul right now.
You know, dude, if you can't look another man in the eyes, that ain't right. You know what I mean? That's how that's how I do it.
Yeah.
You know? So
hell yeah, that's awesome. Cheers to that, man. Fucking
absolutely.
There's too many just mediocre people rolling through life right now. And I think that this is why I enjoy having guys like you that are fighting at a high level, or guys that have performed in the military at a high level, or just do shit at a high level, because you can't do it half-assed, right? Like, if you're trying to do something at a high level, you have to be all in, right? Like,
oh yeah. There's certain things in this life you can't do half-assed 100%. There's a lot we can, and the consequences aren't so much. There's certain things like fighting or something, or being in the military and you're going across seas, you're doing in an area you don't know, and you don't know what's gonna happen. That's life. That's life stuff. You know, that's different, because if I don't have a good day, I could die. You know, so you have to be on. That's a decision you should make if you want to continue living, and you want to continue the people that you love, and you're living for them too, you know?
yeah. And I think we were like that a few hundred years ago.
Way more.
You know what I mean?
More.
Not even, way more, because everything was a life and death
Like
situation.
50 years ago.
Yeah, you weren't going to just go to an ambulance wasn't just going to come get you and roll you up, dude. And I think we're getting a little complacent in that.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, 50 years ago, just think of the difference, you know? Like 100 years ago, what they're probably having freaking gun wars when you're trying to Yellowstone across the world. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we were that way, and we've gotten better, but we got to learn how to still be in that. You know, it's like, I tell people, I love living when I lived in Mexico for a little bit, because you can't just go crossing streets without, I don't care if you're in a crosswalk or not. If there's a car coming that's much more powerful than you, you don't go. And that's the culture there. They live by that. That's why people be dying, or they're on their P's and Q's.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way.
And you're not going to get the medical attention that you would. Like.
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
Take you how long to get wherever that closest dock is, or whatever it is. It's like, so it brings you back a little bit in that. They're not in the Stone Age and things. No way you're living a real life there. But you got to watch out. You know, like, I never had trouble with everybody was, oh, you're worried about the crime. It's like, no, I'm not an idiot. I'm not being an idiot. I'm not out doing certain things that are stupid, that I know is stupid, you know, and I'm saying, you know, I was living, though. There wasn't this little, like, worried stuff. I was out and doing stuff. And they're not going to, if you're just being smart, cool. You know?
100%. And I think reading body language, like, going back to that, is huge, man. Like, you can tell when somebody has bad intentions or is being fucking creepy, man. Like,
oh yeah,
if somebody's up to no good, there's a persona, right? There's something there's like an aura around them, or something, like, you can kind of smell it out, man. That's like your human nature, you know? And I think that's like guys that they teach in the military. Like, we've had a ton of former SEALs in, and Green Berets and stuff like that. And me picking their brains, like, their rule number one is just to be cool, right? Like, just don't be doing weird shit, because then that translates to other people, man. Like, it's not like be cool, like look like a cool
you gotta
guy,
be a cool person,
but be
just
fucking
cool.
organized, be a professional,
just be cool.
be prepared,
just be cool.
Yeah,
just be around. That means just be there. Don't be making a scene. Don't be making anything or doing anything weird, like you said. It's pretty simple. We know rights and wrongs. Like, for the most part. Like, we know, like, everybody said, well, what should I eat to be insane? Like, I get that, it's like, come on, we know what to eat, what not to eat for the most part. Like, start putting it together, and you can do one little thing and tweak it or whatnot. But for the most part, McDonald's every single day ain't good.
And it really just is being conscious of that.
Conscious, right? That's being conscious, knowing and not just living life zombie. You're being aware of it. We all know certain things. Some of us just choose to ignore them and pretend like we don't know.
Yeah, and I think that it's kind of that inner voice of like either shutting that off completely, or having no guilt or no.
Well, it's the only way certain people can live.
Right.
Like they have to do that to continue. Like they just have to. It's not that big of a deal. We all do that in certain things.
Everybody's got their own addiction.
We all have to give up something or do certain things. We're all a little different.
Mine is those fucking nicotine pouches right now, dude. Like I chewed for years.
Yeah.
And then I quit when my kids were born. And then I was in here doing a podcast and somebody gave me one of those, and it was like fucking crack cocaine, dude.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, I grew up as a wrestler in a way. I mean, I didn't start till high school, but that's when you see a lot. Wrestlers chew like motherfuckers.
Yeah.
It's just
especially when you're cutting weight, dude.
When you're cutting weight, especially when you think just spit and stuff, which it does. It creates saliva. It's putting out stuff. When you're cutting those many millimeters and stuff off, like it's important. So like a lot of people chewed. I did it. I didn't like it, and I also knew it would be bad for me. I was
thankful, man.
I was just like, that will be bad, just like cigarettes. I'm like, if cigarettes are bad, they're both tobacco. I get one's one way, but they're both bad. So I was a big anti-tobacco. I'm still that. Like it's like I have this little bit of judgment with tobacco. It's like I'm like try not to judge people for what they do. We all got things, but the tobacco, I'm just kind of like, that's where I draw the line. Don't do that.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. The crazy thing about it is I was anti-tobacco for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, oh, this is just nicotine. It's harmless, but it's addictive, man.
They're good. It's proven they're addictive. There's no way around it.
Is nicotine come derivative of tobacco, or where does nicotine come? Is it a chemical? What the fuck? Is that something?
It must be inherently.
You got to Google this.
But I think I'm sure they manufacture it, or
I mean, it's been around forever. People have done it, and maybe it's
they do it in food. They do it in McDonald's.
Maybe it's a good balanced thing to have in your life in a certain way. I don't fucking know. Maybe it's important on this earth. Like a lot of tobacco's been around for a long time, as long as these little spearhead, killing people with these guys. You know? So people have been doing it, but I think people have taken it to another level because it's so convenient. You got like packs and packs and chew and chew and chew.
You can just easily go get it. You had to harvest it back then, right?
You had to harvest it, but it wasn't easy to put that together. It couldn't have been. Rolling those spliffs,
hell no.
Putting that all together all the time.
Now you can just stop at a 7-Eleven anywhere and buy a carton and smoke 100 cigarettes if you wanted to all at once, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. And then you have assholes that are in it. Not assholes, they're business people that are in it to make money. So you start adding additives, you start cutting it. It's just like a drug dealer, man. They do it with food. They do it with everything, man.
It's just it's the one that as a collective we said is okay, and then they freaking started distributing it made it easy for everybody because we said that one was okay. Could have been many other things throughout life if they would have done kratom, or even if they would have let weed, freaking CBD was illegal at some point, Right. So even if who knows what phase could have took on, and we put it in every cigarette because you can basically put those things in cigarettes too and things, and they could have been better off for people. Who knows why they chose it? Obviously, probably one of the most addictive, But,
yeah, for sure. And I mean, sugar. Look at sugar, man. It's the same fucking thing, really. It's like, but to your point, I think there is a balance with that, right? Like you have to live life a little bit. For me, it is it's like a nootropic, like this is a sponsor of ours, and this isn't a commercial, but this has nootropics in it, right?
There we go,
and
go.
There's no bullshit in it. It's just a bunch of vitamins, but I'm addicted to it because it fucking tastes like candy.
Yeah.
And it fucking makes you think better, right?
And it gives you energy. Your head feels good.
It's caffeine.
Like, and if you're telling me you're drinking one of these a day, I'm not even gonna square it. You're saying I have a few, or if you're saying I have 4 of these a day, then I might be like, bro, maybe that's too many. Yeah. Maybe it wasn't meant for that. But
maybe you need to dial it back.
But there's stuff, dude. We're all getting through this
coffee,
thing called
caffeine.
life.
Yeah.
I've always tried to live a life where I don't let anything like do that to me. You know, throughout life, even when I started liking coffee, I drink coffee for a little bit, then I drink tea. And I drink coffee for a little bit, then I drink tea. Like, it might not always be the same rotation, but I didn't drink coffee all the time, or sometimes I didn't drink either. But now, fucking coffee's got me. Like, it's got me, like, strangled. Like, I gotta get
well,
every
you got fucking
morning,
kids
bro.
now, dude. You got
Every
newborns, bro.
morning. Like, if I don't have my coffee, my girl's like, you're a different person. I feel it. I feel it. I'm like, it's like, what? I gotta have it all the time. So it's got me in control, and I don't like it, honestly. Like, I don't like that it's got me. I love drinking it. Don't tell me I don't like coffee. I like that warm.
I think once you become conscious that something is controlling you, nobody likes that. Nobody naturally likes to be controlled, right? Like, nobody wants to be told what to fucking do. Nobody wants to. I mean, this can be, but like, this is my first drink in
That's
fucking.
What you said. It's been a second.
Probably 8 weeks.
And
2
that's
months,
the thing, you know. Like, I'm not a big drinker. Like, I did just drink because it was Coach. Shout out to my coach Jake. It was his birthday yesterday.
Hell yeah! Shout out.
I always try to be with him, and we have a scotch. That's our drink, you know. But I don't drink. It's probably been it's been over a month or so since I've drank too, because it's not my go-to, even though it's the most accessible. You know, like, and I always feel like that's not the good. If it's so accessible, that ain't good. You know, because it can be that easy to do it all the time, and I've seen it throughout my life. You know, I've seen it with people, and it can take, and and I don't like to have something I always have to do. I don't always have to do shit. You know, that's that's my mentality. So
I love that mentality. That's how I am. It's just one more cog in the fucking wheel, right? Like, I don't know. I've realized being hunting and what hunting has done for me. Like, I never realized it at a young age. It was always just about like the adventure, the spirit of it, that sort of thing. But I've come like full circle in it now that I'm later in life, because I'm starting to think of like, what kind of influences do I want to have on my kids? What's my legacy that I want to leave? What do I want them to experience that I experienced that changed my life? Right?
You're remembering those things a little bit better too now. You know, like, that's the thing.
And lead by example, right? So it's like
it's right, 100%.
It's crazy, right? So I have been. It's really what has fired me back up to be a bow hunter. Okay. Honestly, is because I wanted my kids to be in it. Yeah, feed the family.
You feed the family, but the ability to feed the family if you had to someday.
Right.
Like, it also gives you that feeling, you know. I'll be straight up. I'm not a hunter at all. I never have. I've gone out. My dad wasn't a hunter. They were farmers more, and like, not that they wouldn't. Like, I always grew up like, hunting's important. If I'm an advocate of hunters. I can't hunt, and I haven't been able to. I always say right now, one day I'm gonna go boar hunting with a spear, because that seems natural to me. I'm gonna fucking wrestle that motherfucker, and hopefully fucking. You gotta call my
boy Donnie Dust.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But it's an important part of everything. I would like my kid, whoever can hunt. Like, I got so many hunting friends, because that's important. It teaches a lot. I've been hunting, and I've taken life. You know, and I know I've taken geese, duck, things like that. I've never shot a deer. I've been there for it, but I've never done it because it's just not my thing. You know, I'm a little weak in that shit. You know, like I always say, we're trying to homestead, or eventually someday, or whenever. Or I'm trying to learn things right now, but taking care of animals and then butchering, I can't even do. Even though I think hunting is even more superior than that. You know,
it's a lot more simple than you think. It's not easy.
No, you're taking a life.
Yeah.
You're taking a life,
dude. I'm a 255-pound man that cries like a baby in the woods. And luckily there's nobody around to see me, and I don't film any of it. But I would not be a good TV sport hunter. That is not my jam.
That would probably be me. And it's like, exactly, like, I don't know what I would do. You know, like, I believe in all life. You know what I mean? It's like, even being at the property, I don't cut any. I try not to get anything that's alive. Like, right now I'm doing a big ass cleaning process. Like, that was my thing getting this land. I still don't know what I'm exactly doing with it, but I wanted to make it better than I got it. You know, and this was some land that 70 years ago they were doing like mining around it. You know, so there was some trees just cut, probably because for some reason fallen. There's dead everywhere. Man touched it 70 something.
Whenever you're robbing a resource, dude, all environmental shit goes out the
You
window.
just changed the environment. You changed so people came in, changed the whole environment. It's whatever, cool. What man does this or this. It's still very wildlife, but right now I gotta start by taking away the dead. There has been a lot of dead that were dead is good sometimes. It does. It freaking gives nutrients and this and that, but not when it wasn't meant to come down, and shit like that. And it still might have been 50, 70 years ago, but it wasn't meant for that. You know?
And man has mitigated risk like fire and stuff like that, right? That used to be part of Native American culture, was to backburn wherever you were leaving because you were a nomad, right? And you knew that fire brought life. Like, I've studied massive amount of history, and we mitigate fire now. We have fire departments fucking everywhere, which is a good thing because it does make it a safer place. Shout out to all those men and women that put their lives on the line to rescue. I mean, I hold them at the highest regard, But yeah, we've just, I don't know, as we make stuff better, is like, are we really making stuff better, or is there a reason, behind it?
Somebody thinks they are.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to remember. Somebody thinks they are. They're doing something better, and it could just be for themselves. So, like,
look at our life expectancy now, though. You know what I mean? It's pretty fucking good. It's
a lot
it went
different.
from like 30 to fucking 100 years.
Yeah, we're also not traveling across, freaking fighting off fucking wolves all the time and knocking other people in the head with our slingshots. It changes a little bit. So life is different now. Don't sprint so much, because I always say life's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Maybe sometimes slow down, because you're trying to sprint through it all. It's like, bro, you got a lot left. Like right now you're trying to give up something for something, but it ain't worth it in the long run. And that's something I live my life by. Like I said, it ain't a sprint, it's a marathon. And in those things you gotta really feel them and go through them and do them.
I know this is a weird perspective and kind of a weird, like, haha type fucking mentality, but I read this in a book somewhere, and I can't even give credit where credit is due because I don't fucking remember. Maybe it's all the CTE I've had in my fucking life or whatever, dude. Like, I've done some stupid shit. But it was the perspective on time, and this might have been, I don't know. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole because I'm just going to waste a bunch of time. We're going to get nowhere.
You're talking time. You're saying you're going to waste time.
And I'm wasting it right now.
Like
it really is. It's all perspective, right? So like, if you have time to spend with your kids, you'll make time, right? But if you, it's all about how kind of your perspective on time. And since I've brought that into my life, like that was something that like hit me like a ton of bricks, man, because I was always, especially as the podcast is growing and my career's changed a little bit because of that, and I'm trying to balance that and balance family life. I always felt like I was lacking in one spot or another and never had enough time to devote myself to what I actually needed to do, right? Because I was getting pulled too many different directions.
Oh, yeah, feel that.
So it created this immense amount of stress in my life, dude. Like, especially being a parent and that sort of thing, right? It's like, fuck, am I doing the right thing? But this, what I got out of this book, and I'm going to look this up and we'll bring it up later on a later podcast. It's your perspective on time. If you think that you have enough time to do it all, somehow it fucking happens, dude. It's wild.
If you want to figure it out, you'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
That's really how it works. It just depends on what you want to spend your time on. I've always been very sheltered of my time. I believed in time as my most valuable thing all the time. Honestly,
100%.
I've always had that concept in my head, that my time is important. I won't waste it for nothing if it's not towards what I'm trying to do, right now. And then you get into a family, like you said, that gets a little crazy. That gets different now because time is a little different. You don't really choose all the stuff that's important right now, which is dope, but that's how it is. So it changes a little bit again. So now time's changing a little bit. What you got time for? Because you just start making time for a whole nother life force somehow. So you just made, like, all of a sudden, you didn't have time to do shit. You just made time for a whole new life force. So whatever you were doing before when you were so busy, you just gave parts of it, a big chunk, usually it should be, You know, that's my most important thing. I'm giving as much time to my freaking kids now as I possibly can. And whatever I can do to set up in life that I give more time to them, that's what I'm doing in life. Like, it obviously shit I enjoy, you know, because that's easy. There's a lot of shit to do and stuff, and you don't have to enjoy every moment of every day. That's not what it's about. You know, sometimes you just got to do it. You're
Facing
tired.
that adversity, that's another reason why I hunt, and putting a value on a life, man. It's like when I have that emotional experience, it's like I know how much that life meant to me. I saw it leave this creature that's much bigger than I am and is going to feed me for an entire year or more.
And your family.
And my family. And my friends. And like I've given meat away, you know, like I love.
That's a great feeling to give away life.
Yeah.
You know, that's no different than when you're out and you buy somebody a meal. Like they can afford it, but you buy it. It's like, oh, you know, like life. That's life. Food is life. So when like someone else provides it for you, like what going hunting do, why does it look like the, you know, of tribes and shit, the hunter, they were always looking the most fun and having the best, and were the peak of the freaking tribe, you know, because and what they brought back.
They got the most gratification, right?
For sure. Throughout time, it's still bring home the cheddar, you know, bring home the food, you know, like that's important.
You know what's crazy about that too is kind of the correlation between that and sports, because like I did a deep dive on surfing a little bit because I got into that pretty big when I moved to LA. I left Colorado. Yeah. This was the worst place in the world growing up. I was never gonna make it. Fucking moved to Hermosa Beach, California.
From a different perspective at that time.
Yeah, totally, dude.
Everything was.
Totally.
How long were you in Cali? I lived out there for a little bit too. I love Cali.
Yeah. Where were you at?
San Diego.
Oh, man, that's fucking great, dude. I love the military presence there. And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's got its own issues too, but like, man, what a beautiful place. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So sick.
Beautiful.
It's awesome. I mean, I wouldn't have moved. My ultimate plan was to move down to San Diego, like get established enough in LA, and then just move to San Diego, and I just never did. Like the South Bay is awesome. Hermosa Beach though is a little bit. It's like a little San Diego in LA, and it was very much like. I don't ever go to Denver. I went to Denver today to meet some friends for lunch that were blowing through town. Yeah. And fucking incredible guys. And I'm not going to pass up the opportunity to go have lunch. But that's the only thing that would drag me down there.
Dude. Like, we don't want to go to Denver, right? I avoid it.
Yeah.
I avoid it. Like, I don't go to Denver very often. Like, exactly kind of how it sounds like you. I don't like it. I don't like it down there. It's just not my scene. Like it's, you know, but I've never been a big city person, honestly, in that. So it's like that just gets too clustered for me. It's just not my thing. Like I said, freaking Evergreen here is beautiful. I love this area.
That's great, man.
And it's huge, though. You know, like Evergreen's huge. I'm like, you know,
it's changed so much. It used to be kind of like that Dumont type of feel, you know, like real mountain people, and now. There's Teslas everywhere, and you get yelled at if you wear camo in certain spots. Like if you're in legitimate hunting gear.
Yeah.
Like I got blasted in a grocery store one time.
What?
Up here.
That's not right anyway. So
and, I mean, it was
I'd want to wear it all the time then after that.
Oh, I do.
Yeah,
I don't mind,
bro.
And a little blood on the boots.
Store,
you know?
If you were going to stay at like some steak restaurant, like fancy in town that only has 6 seats, cool. Like don't wear your camo. Cool. You know, but also it's like, whatever, man.
Well, it's crazy because I still hunt around here. I'm fortunate that I have some private land that I can hunt that's really close. So it's just one of those deals where it's like the wife was like, hey, we need milk. And I'm not going to say no. Yeah. And I'm not going to go home and change before I go to the grocery store.
That's
like,
at a grocery store. That's ridiculous. Whoever that was doesn't matter. It's
no, it doesn't. It's just a miserable person, and I'm sure that they thought that they were doing the right thing in their own mind. But
who knows? Don't matter, right? You know.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack us, but we were talking about what were we just talking about? Mountain life and fucking. Dude, we're diving all over the place, but I fucking love it, dude. I fucking love it. Cheers, brother.
Yeah, cheers, brother.
Yeah, I guess. Traveling to the city and like Hermosa Beach, but what I wanted to bring it back to was, I had no idea that surfing was originated from like Polynesian culture in Hawaii and stuff, and what it was the guys that were out harpooning whales and bringing back food, right?
Bless you.
So they would be. It'd be coming back. The dog.
Yeah, he sneezed down there.
Okay. What's his name?
That's Vici.
Vici. Shout out Vici.
Yeah, that's Vici.
Oh, awesome pooch, man.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
I love dogs, dude. I'm glad you brought him today.
Oh, yeah.
It lightens the mood in here.
Energy of dogs is always great. You
Yeah,
know, as
hell
long,
yeah.
as long as your dog ain't hyper, like if obviously there's different situations in this world, but you
Yeah.
know?
Ask Jeremy. I got a dog that doesn't like Jeremy. Loves everybody else, but I think she's fucking jealous, dude. Like straight up. Yeah.
It's a girl dog.
Jealousy, yeah.
Girl dogs can be jealous,
Yeah.
of course.
And she's a
Of
blue
course.
healer.
Yeah,
So it's like even
that's
yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
You guys kick it a lot, huh?
Well, I bring her in
smell
here.
him a lot on you.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, we spent so much time together. She's like, "Where you been, fucker?" You know.
I can smell him, dude. I can smell him.
He brought her home, and then I was stoked. I was like, "Oh, you got a new dog? I'm coming right over." And I walked in the door, and she did not like me.
No.
Like,
I think she thought you were like the missing link or something, right? Because your scent's got to be all over around here. Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
She's never done it to anybody else, but she bit his ass, dude. Like straight up.
It was kind of like
It was a
a
nip.
shot across the bow. That's what
It was a nip. It was a nip.
But anyways, those Polynesians, the reason why surfing originated is they were stand-up paddle harpooning whales, right? Because it
Makes
was the
sense.
most effective way. So their tribal members or their colony members, right, would be on the beach harvesting, doing whatever they're doing, making baskets. And when they saw them celebrating and surfing in on a wave, that meant that they were eating, dude. So it was like those
Talk
warriors
about,
bringing
talk about
back.
hard dudes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
For sure.
So I kind of got into that stand-up paddle culture and doing it there in Hermosa Beach. And I would go out when the gray whales were migrating
Yeah.
and having them swim underneath. Dude, you want to talk about putting life in perspective, man. When something that big like is underneath you or like
I bet.
So those are the experiences. And I get that same feeling from like a bugling elk or like
I believe
know?
it. I believe that's a life force out there.
Yeah.
It's a big life force.
yeah,
You
man.
know. So
Yeah, I think that's important, man. Just perspective and, you know, I think everybody should experience it once. You know, even if they're not the one like taking the life, I think it's a huge thing. Like,
yeah.
I think it's
No, I agree with
important.
you. I think hunting is important and it's a passage. You know, like we all go when we're young, sort of. And I think you should, like you just said. I think it's a rite of passage. Sort of for a man or something. And shit, you might go out there and it might not even happen. You might not. You might never take one. It's not like you have to do it. You know?
That's part of the experience,
I agree.
man.
I agree with you. I think it's important, especially like you said, as your kids get older. My kids go, I'll bring them out. You know, and I'll hunt. Like I said, it's not that I don't think hunting. It's just there's a lot of things I can do, and I do those, and that's not what I want to do, and I don't feel like I got to get over that at this time. You never know. I could go hunt, like I said. You never know. Like, and if all of a sudden the world turns what it turns into, yeah, I'll hunt and get food. You know, and I will. You know, I might not be as good as someone's been hunting for the last 10, 15 years, 100%, because you know that's what it is. But I'll tell you what, I know some people that can. You know, and I'm
Fucking
sure I
call
can
me,
figure
bro.
it out.
We're neighbors.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of the people I love and respect can hunt, and they hunt. You know, and it's just because it's an important trait. I feel like, you know,
That's the coolest part too, is kind of the community or the tribal like feelings that come along with that. Like I go with family members and stuff,
Yeah.
man, and it's such a great bonding
oh, absolutely
thing. And
Absolutely.
like my friend Donnie who made these, Donnie Dust, shout out, just an incredible human. He's been on the podcast several times, and he's been on the TV show Alone, and he actually invited me. He's been hired by CU Boulder to do some primitive experiments where they're like reverse engineering some of these stone tools. So I got invited on a bison experiment where we field dressed and did everything with stone tools. And in fact, some of these tools that are on the table right now, some of the stuff he made me, I was like, dude, can I bring these so that I can actually like use them? And he was like, yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So that was a whole new level of respect. And like,
What
it's
do you-
weird,
what do you
man. Like
mean?
your
you
meat.
use these to clean the buffalo. Is that what you're saying? To me?
Yeah. So it was through CU Boulder and Dr. Devin Pettigrew. He's an archaeologist. We went to a ranch, Eagles Wing Ranch, which sells bison meat. And they took down a mature male bison. And then after that, they set up these high-speed cameras. And do you know what an atlatl is?
No.
So actually, I have one. So this is, you know, everybody thinks that Primitive Man was like chucking spears, like actually throwing spears, but they were kind of much more advanced than that with their engineering.
Yeah.
Right. So this is an atlatl. So just like the throwing your dog a ball or something, right? So you hook this around your fingers, and I don't even know if I'm doing this right. We should have Devin in. And then there's a dart that hooks onto this, and I'll show you after the podcast. I have one in there. So it hooks onto the end of it, which is a spear.
Really?
And then it has one of these attached to it, you know, and different construction methods. And it's an extension of your arm.
Yeah.
So you throw it, and it's surprising. Like Donnie and Dr. Devin are absolute complete accurate savages with this thing,
Thugs
dude.
with this
like,
shit,
yeah.
they can just smoke the stuff. Yeah, I mean, when you get good at something, it's like you can get good.
Yeah, they practice just like you would with shooting a bow or something, and they think that this was kind of, you know, pre-bow or prehistoric, not prehistoric, but primitive man, right? Like this was kind of the first bit of engineering, right? With stone and this and fire, right? And so what they're doing now is, this was in the name of science too, so it wasn't like a bloodlust type thing or like spear hunting. Like some guys are doing that now as kind of like a bloodlust type thing, but I think they're just misread in that too. But this was more in the name of science to reverse engineer like some of the points that they found. They've re-replicated construction methods. So like this one has like a fluted back, right? And it was attached to the spear, you know, maybe differently. So they did hundreds of these and threw it into the bison. And then the second half of the experiment was actually field dressing and boning out, like taking all the meat off the bison with using nothing but stone. And that's where I came in. They were like, we need a big dumb guy.
Oh, man. Just cutting them open with those.
It was 8 hours of us just
those?
We're using nothing but rocks, like no blade involved. And that's
Clearly
not true. I did use, there was one part of the skull. We took all the hide, all the meat off, but there was one part of the skull that was really hard to detach that they probably wouldn't have done, like to actually detach the head from the skeleton.
Yeah.
They might have with a big rock or something, but we used a half-face blade to do that.
So it was
like
kind of smashing heads with rocks. You know, we're going back. I mean, they used to do that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they took everything.
It's a crazy world,
and so we kind of replicated that. But the coolest part about it is the entire bison got used. I took all the meat. I still have some of it in my freezer. Yeah, I gave some to Jeremy.
I cooked it up that night.
Donnie took a bunch. My kids have eaten it. So there's kind of that bonding, but then the entire skeleton is going on display at CU. Yeah. And it still has some of these projectiles like in the rib bone and like, so it was full on studied and it's crazy. It's kind of cool, man.
It's a real deal event there you did.
I was just fortunate that I got cool friends that invited me on that shit, man. Because that's something I would never
come
do.
around. That's fun. Yeah. That's
it was a learning experience, right? Like I'm never gonna complain about cutting up an elk with a super sharp knife now. You know,
oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's. I think that's a biggest part of it, man. Is just perspective, and then
what is nicotine?
Oh yeah, Jeremy found something. So it's a compound. It's a compound of plant. Whoa, it comes from including tomatoes and potatoes?
Highest levels in tobacco, so they extract it from tobacco.
Okay.
What do you mean? It's in tomatoes and
I guess.
Potatoes? Like, that's crazy.
Maybe that's why I like tomatoes.
That's
all. It's either that or the 60% Italian I am, dude. It's one of those two. So
I'm a meat and potatoes too.
Yeah, so, dude, I love potatoes and meat. You can't go fucking wrong with that.
No, absolutely not.
So, dude, we've been at this for a minute already, but what I really we're not talking about anything that I wanted to talk with you about. But this is fucking great, dude. So I don't know, like I met you at BKFC at an after party thing, and it was just a ton of people around you, right? So it's like I don't know much about like your past or your history other than the fight game, right? Which you've been at for like a decade.
Yeah, it's been it's been over a decade for sure.
That's wild, man.
I've been here in Colorado for a decade. So,
really?
Yeah, I've been at it for I don't even exactly know a second. A second.
Yeah.
A second.
That's crazy.
You know?
So what kind of, like, your background, like taking it way back, what forges a Brandon Girtz, right? Because like when I first started watching you fight, you weren't as reckless, I don't think. And I'm putting words into your mouth. I'll let you explain this in your own light, but like, not that you're reckless now. Like, you're very technical, you're a technician, but like, you didn't fight with the same intensity. And going back to this fight that we were just talking about a minute ago, where you had the huge gash on your head, the biggest thing that I remember of that was like, you had a hole in your head that was the size of this whiskey cap, dude, or bigger. Yeah. I mean, I can still see the scar from now, right?
Yeah. That's one that is with you, you know?
And there was something in that fight that I noticed, and I actually just went back and watched it the other night because I was excited you were coming in. There's a moment in there where it just fucking pissed you off, dude, where I think most people would just be like, that could be the worst thing that has ever happened to somebody in their life. Yeah. And you were in a fucking octagon and still fighting, you know, at that point. Until the doctor actually stopped it, which was strange to me too, because going back and watching it, they let you fight for an entire fucking round and then stop the fight, and it wasn't any worse.
Like, cut. It was no worse. You know, that's one of those ones where, you know, I loved it. I loved it all in a way, but stopping it obviously ruined something that could have been even more incredible. You know, and that's when other people have your fate in their hands. You know, because there is a freaking doctor there. There is a ref there. You know, like you just said, in my head, I go back on that one because the cut never changed. And on tape, the doc's like, if it gets this far, then we have to stop it. It's like, it never got that far. It was the exact same. And then you stopped it. And it was like, that was a fight that I was even getting better as the fight went. You know, like you said, it pissed me off. And that's, you know, you bring back, like, in the beginning of the career, like, I might not have fought with that same intensity, and I didn't, you know, and that's why I started 6-0. I go out there and I wrestle. I do smart shit because I came from wrestling. Right. And I'm really good at taking people down. That was my number one thing in fucking fighting. It's much easier. You fake fucking big power punches, you can take someone down. It ain't fucking hard. Or you throw big power punches, you can take someone down. You know, so at fighting I fought a little differently, but it was crazy. I fucking hated it. You know what I mean? Like, I would get to fights and it was like the worst shit ever for that week, this or that, because that's the thing. Like, I'm a real fighter, so it means it has to actually, I want to fight somebody, and like, it happens. Like, but right now I'm faking it and like pretending like I don't like this guy that I don't even know, and for no reason I gotta go whoop his ass. And it's hard for me to do that concept because it's fake. But I was able to compete and be smarter and do it, but it sucked, and I hated it. And every moment of it sucked because it wasn't a fight to me. I love fighting growing up. That's why I got into fighting. I fought when I wasn't supposed to fight. You know, because it just popped up. You know, if it was in a sport and somebody tried to fight hockey, I always got kicked out of games. You know, even in high school, I didn't get on the team because of my reputation of always fighting. You know, they're like, nah, like, Girtz, you're better, but you can't have all that fighting. You know, like, I had it. Yeah. So I would fight when it made sense because they did something. But for me to just like fake it is impossible in anything. So like you said, there was a point in my career where I was able to just let it go. I was like, I'm going to try to murder this guy. He's whatever. Like, I don't like whatever. But when that never happened because he never came at me or something, I couldn't do it. You know, and it was just like, yeah, I'm going to play this game and shit, and I should be a competitor here. But I've already shifted on this is just life or death. You know, and I was able to come in here and fucking, it was funner. It was more enjoyable this last month. Like, you know, like, it's just more enjoyable. And I'm not saying it's always about enjoying it, but like, I didn't like it. And it was almost turning into like, well, should I even fucking do it? Even though you're good at it. Well, it's kind of that thing of just leaving it all out there, right? And knowing that you've tried your best, right? Like, nobody wants to. Absolutely. That's
like, this is the game plan, and then, fuck, I should have just went out there and just fucking rolled this dude.
The worst feeling in life is knowing you didn't give your all, is to me. Like, I've been in that position in wrestling, college, this and that. Like, I always, like, you don't give it because, you know, and that's the worst fucking feeling it turns out to be. You know, so you're able to go out there and give it that and fucking go for it. Fucking, you're not really losing nothing, you know, and you can look at it differently. The build up, like, fighting's fucking hard. People think it's one day of shit. It's like, a street fight's so much easier than a cage fight and shit like that. Like, you think you can fight because you fought a couple times. It's like, yeah, it's easy to blow your lid and fucking fight somebody and do this. But when it's building up to it and everybody's watching, everybody knows, and you're building it up and you're thinking about it, you're thinking about everything because you cannot not. It's an important event happening. You know, people
not to mention you're going
across
from a practitioner, right? Like, so this is somebody else that practices and devotes just as much time as you do.
Totally different, especially the higher you get. They're all fucking killers. You know, so it's a different thing. Like, fighting's the thing, but when I was able to go and they wanted to fight and I wanted to fight, which is what kind of bare knuckle boxing almost makes it have to be.
Yeah.
You know, it's more my thing because it's like you're gonna have, and I want to have to kill you now because I can see you're trying to kill me. You know, so fucking let's go. But fucking MMA is a little more strategic. Like, you can be a wrestler and you can do shit and you can use angles a little bit better and be smarter. It's not a fucking fight. And sometimes it happens to make that. You know, two people want to kill each other, but a lot of the times the one that can fucking strategize better wins in MMA for sure.
Yeah, and we're starting to see that as the sport has evolved, man. Like, against my buddy Brandon Royval just recently in this title fight, man. That was just a total chess match of playing the clock. It's just like an NFL game, man. Like, it comes down to clockwork and, you know, strategy and holding somebody down and not actually throwing it all out
there. There's a lot more strategic moves in it, you know?
Yeah.
You know, which can turn out to be boring.
Yeah. Which that was, man. It was, and it's I don't know. I don't even want to go down that road, but I have no room to talk. I'm no professional, you know.
You know, you just want, like you said, to where it was. It's like I've always been a fighter, and that's why fighting was easy when I was young. It was, I can still hear my name being run, you know, yelled from corners of people trying to get me to be like, this motherfucker says something, Girtz, Girtz, and they're yelling from the other side of the room because I enjoyed it, and then I also enjoy fucking protecting my friends or being there for my friends, and that was a skill set I always had. I was always in fights. I enjoyed them, though. And maybe I wasn't like fighting and punching people all the time, but I was in some intense moments a lot. So I enjoyed it.
Was it your own personal ego at that point? Or was it protecting protecting your friends?
Both, because I look at it, it's a skill set I had, you know, and like things like I wasn't the ones helping everybody on their tests. I'm fucking, you know what I mean? Like know your skills and don't take it as like, that's fucking straight up. Like there was people, and I wasn't the one doing that. I didn't have that skill. I'm sorry. I can get through the shit because I had the friends that could get shit. You know, I had a skill set, and I learned that earlier that mine was fighting, and I enjoyed it. And it wasn't that I was doing something that was scared me. It's like, no, when the moment started, I pop in and I loved it, you know. But when it builds up to it and I'm trying to make it happen, I'm like, well, I fucking what? You know, like there's nothing real here. There's no real animosity. There's no real get in there for some of the things. You can build it, you can do that, but one thing can happen and take it away because it's a fake fucking facade, and I can't fake shit. So that's
one thing I've appreciated as you as a fighter, because there are so many guys that go in there and run their mouth, and that I feel like it's like your Colby Covington's, man. Not a fan. Like I'll say it publicly, and he'd probably whoop my ass. Like,
for sure.
But
that's not like, the point here.
The point is, I'm just not a fan of the band.
Yeah.
That's not the real Colby Covington
stuff. The WWE and real.
I want to know real people, man. Like that's why I only invite people in here that I feel like are being genuine and lead by example, like. Or just living life the way that they want to fucking live it, man. Like, that's important to me, right? Like, 100%. Having somebody real sit across from me. I don't want to have a conversation with Colby. I want to have it with Brandon Girtz. You know what I mean? Like, and I think you're somebody that, like, just watching you from an outside perspective, like, you don't subscribe to a lot of those annex and stuff. It's just, you genuinely want to fucking hurt somebody, dude. Like,
watch this. Wait. Boom. There it is.
Oh, shit.
It was terrible.
Well, I think wasn't this from a knee?
I just opened everything up.
Yeah.
It was that one.
So
dude,
it just
was crazy, man.
It was. It happened right there in that knee, you know, and freaking.
Right. So people that are just listening to this, go and watch the YouTube. This is from Bellator 181. You can check it out at the Mountainside Podcast page. We're watching it right now, dude. But
so hard.
This was an incredible fight. all three of them were. I mean,
well, he likes to fight.
Yeah.
So it always, turns to that, turns into a fight. Like, you can go into it liking somebody, but you can feel when they're trying to take your head with something. Like, there's difference. Like I said, I've been in there. You can tell this person's playing a game, or you telling them this person's trying to kill me. Campos does that. His punches are there to fucking hurt me and put me away. You know, and he's able to turn that into that. It's good. You know.
So from this injury, I see you wiping your face and stuff. Going back, do you even have any memories? Like, could you feel like, did you know how bad it was at that point, or did your corner tell you? Because like when the cut man go to put the Q-tip, it was a cut. The Q-tip wasn't doing shit.
It was a cut, and luckily it was it's right down the middle.
Yeah.
So the blood was more going. It wasn't getting in my eyes. That was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So usually a lot of times, and that's why it's important. That's why you said if it gets here, it'll start going into the eye. Well, mine was going down. For the most part,
it wasn't affecting your vision.
It wasn't going into my eyeballs, and that's what's important. And it wasn't, so that's why I was able to. But when I felt it, when he came up from that knee, I was like, "Fuck!" Like I instantly felt it. I was like, I felt my head just squish. I was like, "Damn!" I was like, "He got me." I was like, "This motherfucker," Like I felt I was great. I was like, he had nothing to get me with. I just gave him that, and he fucked me up. I'm fucking him up. Like he just
you could see that switch flipping you, man.
I just wanted to fucking get him, and I felt good though. The things were landing, everything I've worked on were landing. Fucking, it was enjoyable. We were having a fucking battle, and I like the battles. Again, I'm about the battles. I'm ready for a battle every day. That's
Please don't battle me today.
That's the thing. Like if it's needed, I do enjoy it. There is a thing about it that I enjoy. So I'm prepared. Like I like to be prepared.
I think I enjoy it too, man. It's like when a problem arises, the first thing I think of is like, we're the opponent. You know what I mean? Like, and if you have that mindset, then dealing with shit isn't that bad, sometimes I think.
No.
And it could just be every day. Like, I don't like dealing with the little mundane everyday bullshit. That's the stuff that really gets to me. But yeah, this was wild. So that cut, could you feel it? Because I've had some pretty big lacerations and stuff, but it was in a different scenario, right? It was where it was unexpectedly like cut.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the shock wears in. But like when you're in the octagon, I'm sure that there's some adrenaline. Could you feel how open it was, or like?
I mean, truthfully, not really, but in a way, like, I feel the air coming. You feel it. It's dripping down. It's different.
Yeah.
It's hitting a different scheme. But as a fucking hurt, no, I don't give a fuck right now. Like, I'm sure some people it could hurt, but
it hurts
right
tomorrow,
now. I don't
right?
give a fuck right now. I signed up for this. This is part of it, and like, pain ain't no thing, And that's how I believe. When I'm in that zone, like we've all been in a zone doing something, nothing fucking matters. That's the beautiful thing about a zone, and that's always been dangerous shit for me. And fucking someone standing across from me is dangerous shit, and I go in the zone. Like that's it, and I love it. The zone is fucking fun. It's like that's when I honestly fucking can relate to Matrix. Like motherfucking Neo moving his body, and that's what you feel like when you're in the zone of certain things. Like, and that's what's beautiful. And
like shit slows down.
Shit slows down. It's like anybody that's been close accident. Like I rode a lot of fucking motorcycle growing up. There's fucking close shit. And like especially the shit I was doing. I was going fast.
Like motocross?
I had an R1 going through college.
That's a whole nother level.
Going through college and shit. And we went riding and we rode and we had a group and like I didn't what I would say, I didn't touch that fucking motorcycle and not go 128. It went 128 first gear. It went 128 first fucking gear. Most of the time, I at least hit 165 because that was second gear.
They're actually harder to ride if you're trying to ride them the speed limit, dude.
No, you can't. You can't. It's hard. For like I said, my first gear went 128. So just imagine fucking that. It's got
crazy.
6 gears.
Yeah.
So just imagine that. But I like that shit. I like being in the zone, and that's when the flow state's fucking beautiful thing, So taking action is a big, a big part of my skill set. When things hit, I can fucking handle it, and that's some of my favorite shit to do, So it's like anything new. It's like going up, like right now, all the shit I'm doing at the private. There's been some crazy shit, but
right.
you gotta handle it, when you get into that,
And I think it makes you sleep better at night knowing that you did handle it, right? Like, I think that that's part of it too. Going back to the fight game, I want to get back into your background a little bit because I want to know what forges the Brandon Girtz. But I want to ask you this one question before I forget. I mean, I'm surprised that didn't cause like a knockout at that point, right? Like, have you been I don't think that I've ever seen you.
So one time.
Okay.
One time, that story, and he can have it for his life. It's fine. You know what I mean? Like, he can have it for his life and things happen. But in a fight, I knew not to throw an overhand left because the guy was like 6'2", you know? Well, I was piecing him up. It was whatever. And I was having a great time, and I just threw it because it seemed so open. Well, he went to kick at the same time.
The guy was 6'2" and 160.
He was a tall dude. He's a solid I was fighting 155.
Holy shit.
Well, there's a lot of 6'2s.
That's a long, lanky motherfucker, dude.
A lot of 55ers are damn near, they can be that tall. It's fucking
really
great. Especially the higher you go up now. These motherfuckers are cutting weight. But
yeah,
he got me. He was throwing a kick, and I was throwing that overhand, and he thought it was a knee, but he was throwing a kick. Luckily, it fucking came. I was throwing the overhand, and I went into his knee, put me out, and I say, it is what it is. Great, good job. That's how I look at it. But I was going for it, so I've never been that mad about it. It happened. Like, of the circumstances that had to be put together for that to happen, like crazy. Crazy. I was going for it. By momentum, your momentum wasn't even the move you're going for. Landed. That's how it happens. Anything can happen. That taught me that.
Sure.
But go for it. I didn't have any really, like, I woke up, shit didn't fucking hurt.
Yeah, well, I guess what was that experience like? Because I've been knocked out a few times.
Yeah.
Twice by a motorcycle, dirt bikes, right?
Okay.
Fucking wrecking, and you wake up and you're just like, where the fuck am I?
That's never happened to me.
Right?
It's never off a motorcycle.
Okay.
But yeah, I know that the knockout.
And then
you wake
one
up
time was a sucker punch, and I didn't fucking know, dude. Like, I got something.
I've been knocked out, I guess, in a street fight by a fucking brick sucker punch. But then and I don't know what happened, but there was people hurt, and we're all fucking bleeding.
Yeah, this was an alcohol bottle that got me. It fucked me up.
Oh,
dude.
yeah. So it can, but when you that, like I said, that happened one time, and you learn from it. It's not, but it's happened.
My experience though with it, like, and I've always wondered this for guys that get knocked out in the ring, is like, it doesn't hurt. Like,
no, that's what you can't be afraid.
Like a broken finger or like an extremity injury always seemed like way worse than.
Oh yeah. It's the fear of the knockout, honestly, and people just have that. And most people have never been knocked out or in a situation, but really, you think about it too. Like, you knocked out, like you out and vulnerable too. So don't ever really want to get knocked out, right? Like, cage fight's one thing, but like if you on the streets of Bangkok and get knocked out, it's like you waking up naked. Like, who knows?
Yeah, or if you're in a war zone, you're dead, bro. Like,
you wake up, you haven't moved for how long?
And it's crazy that is kind of like the human genetic, is like, it's to play dead, really. Right. Like, if you're in a really bad situation, I think that, I don't know the science behind it too bad, but if you're not checking out the Mountainside Podcast on YouTube, you absolutely should be. If you like the content that we create here and you want to help support the podcast, please take a moment, subscribe to us on YouTube, and hit that notification bell. All right, we're back.
We're back.
Okay, so
bathroom break for me. I drink a lot of water.
Yeah, hell yeah. Do you want a refill of this? It's up to you, man. There's no pressure.
We got a little left of what Luke brought you out. My man.
Yeah,
Luke
shout out Luke.
Shout out to
Luke.
Luke.
Cadillo turned me on to this
guy.
Basil Hayden toast.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
So,
I'll have a little bit. Whatever.
Okay. It's all yours, dude. There's if you want more ice, there's some in that Yeti cup right there. Cheers again, man. Thanks for saying yes, dude. You've been a bucket list for me for a while, and I'm sorry it took so long to reach out. But
it's all good. Yeah, we knew it was gonna happen someday.
I needed a real mountain man in here.
Oh yeah,
I love it that you have the property. You're up there just crushing it with it.
That's the thing. That's the thing right now. We're still trying to figure out what, I got it, wanting to make it better. That was the big part. And then learn how to live off the land a little bit better too. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's never something I've been into, really.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's something that your kids will enjoy too. Like, it is. like that's what brought me back to Evergreen, was growing up and playing in the dirt here.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, where do I want my kids to grow up? So it's like,
Yeah, you start thinking about that, and it's just like I said. I think we're at a spot where it's always been important. Farming. I grew up. My dad was a farmer. You know, we grew up. It sounds like you got a cattle ranching family. Like you grew up with that. Like we're producing from the land in a way. So I've always thought of that, and like you know, I've been fighting for land. That's all that's mattered for a long time. But now that's not all that matters. It's actually really low on the list of what matters. It turns into like there was a very long time for over a decade. That's all that mattered. So everything I did had to go in towards that. But now it's family. It's my boys. It's my woman. You know, it's like and what can you do and enjoy stuff with them? Well, living off the land's enjoyable. You know, you have them around. You fucking doing stuff. You're growing stuff. You're providing. You know, right off your own stuff. You know, right off your own land has a ring to it for me. You know,
hell yeah.
You know, but I just started learning to garden, you know, less than 5 years ago in a way. You know, my last house, the lady had a freaking great garden already, and I like kept adding more vegetables and shit to it, and that's where I started 5 years ago, learning how to start to do it. You know,
Really?
I've never even done any of it. My mom, I didn't do that back when I was young, really. Like I helped with some hard shit. You know, you have something heavy to be to move, you have some raking to do. Like
Brandon, come here.
You know, like that's it. Like I had chores all the time, you know, but the gardening and stuff like that, like I never really learned that from my mom or how to do any of that really, you know. So that's just been something new now that I got a passion on, because it's important. I love life, plant life, all life, you know, so it's enjoyable for me, you know. And if you're able to like grow some of your own food, you know, whatever capacity that is, it's like that's awesome. It's like I'm learning how to do that more now, and how to do it more efficiently and stuff like that. It's what I started with the house that I had a great garden, and then I got the land. And like I said, when I got the land, this was land that 7 years ago was like man touched a little bit, because they were mining and like we're coming through there doing whatever, probably getting water from the river somehow to work their fucking whatever machinery. I don't know what they were doing back then, you know, how mining worked or whatnot, but man went through there. You know, and then after that, someone had it, and they just had horses on it. Just had like a little area that had horses, you know. So it's like no one really did much to like did much for it, you know. And I'm like, I just want to make this place better. Is really what and then see how I can keep working on my skill sets, because that's what I've been doing. I've built a couple sheds now. I've never built a shed by myself.
I saw the log one that you made, dude. That's fucking badass.
That's the tool shed right now.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm currently building a little like fishing cabin. I'm calling the fishing cabin, which is right on the water. You know, I'm gonna have like a little deck that goes over the water, and it's gonna be, you know, like it's just I start to do shit that I see and want there, and then think like you said, my kids will enjoy it, or people that I love will enjoy it. You know, right now. You know, like we'll see where it goes. Like, but I'm learning how to do shit. Like, you know, like I never cut down a tree by myself. I did shit with my dad. My dad was lead man. I've never been lead man on any of this stuff, but it's been a process for like the last 2.5 years that I've really fucking enjoyed and jumped all the way in. Like you said, Mount Man, it's like, yeah, I've been out there living a lot and cutting a lot, fucking building a lot, cleaning a lot, doing a lot of that shit I've never done before. You know, it's been a learning experience, and I've been enjoying it. You know, it's like that. It's my get out of there. Like tell people, like I got people, oh, we want to go on this hike. You want to go? And it's like, I love hiking, and I've always have. But right now, the only time I got for my outdoor activities is my land. So it's like, if you want to come and like visit me and help me fucking carry some logs, like if you know, like that's what it turns into. Yeah, right. It's like, but right now, that's my.
I bet you they have a great fucking time.
That's that's my get outdoors. Yeah. You know, like that's it right now. Like we should all get outdoors, hunting, doing your shit, hiking, being outside, sitting in your garden, gardening,
dude,
whatever
it
it is.
Matter if you live in an inner city, man. It's good for you just to get out and fucking walk.
Whatever it is, you know, like that's why hiking is important. That's why a lot of Coloradans think it is. But getting outside in Mother Nature is important, is really as much as you can, I believe. Mm-hmm. So having a home, you know, I started to get away from even wanting a lot of land. Like I grew up not a lot, 7 acres, but my grandpa and grandpa had a farm, 200 acres. I grew up like I want a lot of land, and then I went through a phase.
Was that
like
Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah.
Okay,
originally
so
from Minnesota.
where apart? Like tundra area, or like are you?
What?
What part of Minnesota?
So
because there's different sides, don't you know?
Yeah. We're in between the cities, like the Twin Cities, and I'd say North, you know, Canada and freaking North Dakota, like down that direction. Like, but we're only 30 minutes north of the cities.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Is like people don't realize it's like Colorado a little bit, right? Like you have people that live in Boulder, like. I think when people think of Colorado, they think of Red Rocks, they think of Boulder, they think of the mountains, but they don't know about the Western Slope people that are like hardcore agriculture, ranchers, real backwoods, badasses.
Oh
dude.
yeah. Oh yeah. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, and Minnesota's like that a little bit too, right?
Because there's farm life and country life and stuff like that out there too. You know,
there's a vast amount of space to utilize, right?
That's exactly it. So you kind of learn that. And I wanted land, then I went through the stage. It's like, well, that's more shit to take care of. I want to travel and not do things, and like you go through that a little bit, and then now, especially with kids, and like it's like, no, I want my own land. That if shit, whatever's going on, we have this spot right here. Oh, who knows? Freaking, we can't. Like, we have this. We can fucking live in the trailer on this or whatever it is. We have this is ours,
right?
You know.
So you're splitting your time between there and Denver. Or,
we have a place in Golden, and then I'm at the land quite a bit. Like before, I had the two. Like my oldest is only. He's like 18 months around there, give or take. And before that, we were staying up at the land in the trailer almost every night. Even though we had a place up here, we'd be out there for at least 4 nights out of the week. And we loved it, you know. But then once we had the kid, it's like, well, it's a little harder now. Like, it was a whole phase for them. Never been parents. First kid's a month. You're just like, so girl needs to be in a little more situation that ain't a trailer on some land. Where, like, who knows what's going bobcats around us and bear. It's like, who knows?
It's wild country up there, man.
It is. Like, we got bear. I've had moose right by me, like shit like that. You're like, you remember, it's like, yeah, I'm in the mountain, like I'm living some of this and learning some of this right now. You know, and that's what it's been. Like that's how I look at it. And like I said, making it a better place that we might live there someday. Like that's on the docket, or somewhere where we just go and enjoy. It's on, we call the river Clear Creek. It's on that. It's like water flowing through it. We're always jumping in, getting cold tubs and doing stuff like that. I got a hot tub. We have a hot tub right by the water. So it's like we get that thing. It's a wood burning hot tub. So you get that thing going and you're out there, and then you go in the water and then you go. It's like,
that's cool. So you got to put your own logs in it and shit.
Yep, burning and everything. It's a cool deal. It's like right there in the middle of nowhere. You know, it's like right now it's my little piece of getting outside, heaven, in that a place I can make a little better is really how I look at it. Like I just keep doing. Like today,
you keep saying that, and I love that perspective, man. That's what I was taught from a young age on how to treat public land. Is always treat it, better than you found it, right?
Yeah,
like that's how you should leave it. And I know that that's become a slogan for some organizations here, and I think it's a great slogan. But dude, I appreciate that you think that way, man. That's fucking cool. And I can see the joy that it brings you, man. So fucking keep doing it, dude. I can't wait to come see it.
That exactly. It's that's how I look at it. It's like I said, just making Mother Nature better and trying to make something look nice, and maybe I can share it with people and people that I enjoy and that I want to, do stuff. Like I said, there's fishing. There's just a ton going on right there, and that's how I look at it right now. Like somewhere I can bring a little bit. If it's my family, who knows? We've talked about doing some events there because it's like it'd be cool to give some of this to other people and have some experiences. You know what I mean? So it's like it's one of those places where how can you make it better?
Did you find it or decide that you want to do? Live there.
This was right before like 2020 stuff was getting real, what it was, and I just selling my house because I didn't want it. Was new chapter in my life. I didn't want to be there anymore. I started looking in the land, and seeing like because you can put whatever you want there. Like I wanted to get something where I could just start fresh and we can live out a trailer for this many years or this or that, because it's like. Was the life on my head, and I want to learn. I really wanted to learn some of these homesteading things, and learn how to do the stuff for myself in a way. If things, not saying like I wasn't down, I'm not down the bunker hill with it, but it's like I wanted to have my own piece that I could always have, and that's how we just started looking at different land and found this one. I was looking everywhere I was looking. I wanted really water to be around somewhere. I'm a firm believer in water is life, so it makes everything, because when I go hiking, I usually want something water at the end to get to, like something cool to see, something I came up here for, like water's always been my thing. So I was just looking for something with water and, like I said, see what I can do with it. And this was my favorite out of it, and we just felt it. And I thought it would be somewhere that was so unique. And like I said, it was a place that was kind of
it's really not that far from Denver either, man.
And then that's the second thing. Like I looked at some things that were 2-3 hours out, off a small road, like, oh, cool. But dude, it took me 3 hours to get here. Like I still got a big life to live here in town. if you know me, I have a radius of really where I drive for the most part. And like my gym is only 7 minutes from my house. Like where I live mostly is 7 minutes. Like even throughout like ever, like I bought I've been on the west side close to wherever the gym was. Like that I go often. Like and like if you're my friend, like we usually stay in a certain area and we like I don't go like I'm not wasting my time in a car too often. I ain't for sitting in traffic. So for the most part, in this place I have like it probably took me 25 minutes from here. It's 25 minutes from the gym, 30 minutes because it's the location is so accessible. And I could do this. And even if I was living there, it's not that far. But right now, it's like I can go up there and do a bunch of shit and come back, you know, or stay up there tonight, come back.
Yeah.
It's that close that it's hard to get shit like that around Colorado right now. Like everything you got to go is at least 2 hours deep. At least you get on a little side road that takes you about 30 minutes, but it's only 1 mile, you know, or who knows.
Yeah.
You know, luckily my access is super easy. You know, it's off of Clear Creek, which we all know follows a lot of main stuff because that's how we made our roadways around here. It's one of the biggest waterways. Yeah. So it's like made the ways around. So yeah, and it's, you know, like I said, it's been a process and it's been, you get there with so many ideas, which I still have a million, but you think you can get them done so much faster than you can. You know, that's really why I knew I never wanted to say I'm going to put a house here by this time or get this because I knew the process was going to be much longer than I anticipated. So I didn't want to put an end on when we were going to get there or if we ever did. Like we might never live there. It might just be this piece of property because it's convenient now and we stay up there sometimes like a cabin. Minnesota, I'm known for like we are known for having a cabin. Like you go up on the weekends or you go up sometimes as a getaway.
Did you do that a lot as a kid, or like did you have any of this sort of influence? Like
growing up, everybody had a cabin in Minnesota. It's the 10,000 lakes. It's land of 10,000 lakes. So everybody had a cabin up somewhere. And back then, you could probably get a cabin and cool and be somewhere for 50 to 100 grand. You know, and you're on a lake. Yeah, you have a boat, or like some people buy places and they make like an actual house. Like all my friends had cabins. We never did. And I always looked at it. I never really wanted one because you take care of your house and then you go up to the weekend, you take care of your cabin. It's another house that has grass that grows. And I would watch my friends' parents do this and I just enjoy the stuff. Like, you know, like if I help you with something, carry it in. But like I saw them, you know, so I'm like, I never want two houses and take care of them both. Like and that was always a thing. So I'm like, I don't want that. And
that's a great, I mean, that's a good perspective to have because like the more people just want more and more and more and more, it seems like, or a bigger house or a bigger home, but it's, it eats up more of your time. Unless you can afford to fucking pay people to do that
somebody
shit for
to take
you.
care of it, that's it. If you can get to that, so cool then. Yeah. Cool. You know, but if you're not, and you know, most people aren't, like, you know, it's like I don't want the extra responsibility and stuff like that. You know, that's I only again, I've been freaking being very with my fucking time my whole life. So it's like I know like if it doesn't bring you joy or this or that, why you can't, it's not important. Like don't have it. Like, don't add more to it. Like, life's got a lot of shit going on. There's a lot.
Yeah, enjoy kind of what you got, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you keep filling it up too much, you won't be able to enjoy anything. You know,
that's
like,
so true,
you won't be able to enjoy anything. So, yeah, so with that, so we'll see. Like, the land it's my baby right now, and it's part of my identity because I like go up there and it's my outdoor time, and I am doing like I'm making it better. Like I am, like maybe it's just for
dude.
my
I can
eyes,
see the passion in your eyes right now, dude.
You know what I mean? Like
it.
it's like that's the influence on it, and then we'll go from there someday what it is. But like right now, I'm just enjoying the process with it. I'm learning so much. Like I've never cut down a big tree by myself. I was always my dad, whoever, somebody more fucking qualified than me, you know, like go ahead, you know. But now, like with this land, like
that shit is dangerous, man.
Fucking the first one, I got a video of it, but cutting it down. My dad's there, you know. My dad's there. The first tree I cut down, you know, like it's the weekend after I get this land for the first time. My dad comes up and stays for a few days, you know,
that's
like
cool.
Because it's 10 acres, middle of the wood, like you can. It's like a fun time, you know. Get there. My dad was there for the first big tree I cut down, but it was like he was number 2 there, you know. Like I was the one cutting, I was the one running, you know. Like it was one of those scenarios. Like shit, you know. Like cutting trees is a motherfucker. Like I thought, you know, like it's dangerous. Like you got to be careful with cutting down trees and all
it's a
that.
Skill, man.
No,
it really is.
Oh yeah,
like which way to fall, and it doesn't always go that way either.
No,
Like,
I've had some my good buddies out there, Quill, shout out, that teach me some shit about cutting trees and this and that, because after I've done it, it's like, oh, this is a real deal. I just know like get someone really good at this. Show me some stuff around here, dude. So that's been the process, like learning how to construct that. Like I told you, I've built a couple tool sheds right now. I'm in the middle of doing a cabin. Weather, slows it down a little bit right now. It's winter out there. Like, what's lovely is it's in between. It ain't where the ski resorts start, So it's like there's a reason it doesn't get as much snow. Like right now, I have more snow up in Golden than I did at the property, which is nuts. It's like what? It's like we know how Colorado works.
Yeah, these last couple storms have been weird,
but everywhere gets it different. We know that, which is hilarious. You have your boy call you on one side of the town in Broomfield and be like, "Oh, we got freaking 2 feet," and you'd be like, "Oh, we got a couple sprinkles."
The sun is shining over here.
Like we haven't got any. Someone be like, "I can't make it to practice. The snow's bad." You're like, "Bro, it's not snowy." You're like, "Well, over here, Colorado's funny like that."
No, I think a lot of people get caught in that too, man. It's good practice to come prepared for all seasons.
Everything around here. When I moved here, I've been here, going on between 10 and 12 years. I'm not a big track keeper. I don't really remember some of my track records. So I usually throw out time frames. And they might be really large sometimes. You'd be like, yeah, that's between 5 and 20 years, Like I did that. I went on that hike,
It sounds like me.
It's in between there, I'm not using my brain method to remember chronically when shit happened and stuff exactly. I have a feeling it happened recently, and that's how I go.
Some of those people will go on date. It's hard enough for me to remember my anniversary and my kids' birthdays. That's about as much bandwidth as I have.
Growing up, it was always people would always try to, like important people that I should know these things, like what's their birthday, and I'd be like, I should know your birthday. I'm dating you, or something. Like you're right. I should know this, but I just don't function like that.
I've fucking been there.
So I can't. Like I told you earlier, it's like I'm not a man of all skills, and I use my skill set.
Going back to your background, like what was that transition? You grew up in Minnesota. You start, like, I kind of want to know what forged Brandon into coming to Colorado, like taking that next step in fighting. I know you have a wrestling background. But like, where did you make the transition into MMA and like, this is what I'm going to fucking do?
Well, like I said, fighting was like, I'm not out here boosting it. I'm not the type to be like, I've been in fucking all these fights and this and this and this. Like, partly it's shameful. It is in a way. Like, so I don't try to like talk about it or like say it, but it's like, because I look like I would fucking have hated me like at certain ages, multiple of my ages. Like you're a little douchebag. I would have
fought myself at 18.
Oh, fucking 100%. Sure. I've always had this thing. I live my way away. Like I would never and this is my thing. I'm not gonna start the fight or throw the first punch or things like that. But I was sure a dick enough to make you want to punch me multiple times. Enough where I'm pushing you to do it. And it's like, but it was my motto. Like I would never. I'm not you are starting them all. Just because you didn't fucking try to punch me or you didn't throw the first punch. You're
partaking.
You're doing dumbass shit. To be a dick, like fucking, and the thing was, I did that almost every night I went out. It was, it's embarrassing.
Did you ever have any run-ins with the law? Like,
I've done some nights in jail. That was some of the finally like waking up. I've done a couple of weekends. Things that were long, like historic. The shocker giving me the toilet roll. You get this now, go to sleep. Like using it as your pillow. That's all you got. But the big guy throws it to you when he gets out. He's like, you lead this shit now. It's like I'm fucking the toilet paper guy now. So I've been there, but I've had friends that shit happened, fight, because all I did was fight again. Like, and it's stupid. It was literally I tried. It was either like vulgarly say it was fuck or fight. Like, and that's how I went out and did it. A lot of times we're fighting.
There's
so it's going on, and you're either you're that guy,
Yeah. Sometimes trying to fuck leads to fighting.
I never said these ladies, man, dead or not, so it was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of fighting, and like I said, it was embarrassing. It took a couple things. I remember a big change for me was my sophomore year. And we were at a wrestling party, and I did something to be a douchebag, and I kind of like did something to another team member or something to, and kind of was starting fights like I always do, you know, and being like that. And one of my big team members, which was fucking huge, he was like a transfer. He was on the juice. Like he was our 205er, huge, you know, like, you know, that by this, he was a transfer from a JUCO college, you know, there was a national champ and he was just fucking big. And he's like, probably 23 and I'm only like 19, you know, so that many years have passed. It's like he's old as fuck, it seems like, you know, when you're that young, you know, being 23 and 19 is like you've lived a whole different life, you know. So I did that and something happened and he went to kind of like try to like put me in my place. And when he went to do it, he tried to like trip me. It was like one of those things that was like, nah, you can't give me that shit, bro. Like I'm not that, you got me with a little minion. So I threw him to the ground. Well, he got up, obviously pissed, socked me in the fucking face. And that was like one of those times it was like, dude, you're my boy. Like, he socked me in the fucking face, you know, but it fucking crushed me because he was huge. And it was one of those things. It was like, yeah, bro. And we walked, but then instantly, me and him go walking together around the house and away from the party and talk about it. And he's just like, bro, I was just like you. Fucking starting fights, being a fucking little fucker, fucking always wanting to fight and starting shit and doing this. That shit don't lead to nowhere. You know, and I'm sorry I fucking hit you, but it just reminded me of that shit that fucking pisses me off. Acting like a fucking, and right there I took that for real, like hard. Like not saying that fucking scared straight, never been an idiot again, but right there I took it. And I was a little bit like, all right, like fucking quit trying to, like all I'm doing is trying to start fights, start altercations, because that's what I was doing. I'll be throwing balls. I just be doing shit to be like, oh, it's harmless. And then, but you're just starting shit. Why? I enjoy it.
Yeah. Because you genuinely enjoyed it.
I genuinely enjoy it.
But street fighting is so dumb, man.
That's the thing. That was always my thing. It's like, if you think you're tough enough to fight, I'm not going to punch you. I'm not going to make you fight me. But if you think you're tough enough, I want to see, are you tough enough? Like, I just wanted to see that. Like, I would have never punched anybody first, and that was my thing. You know, that's why I thought it was okay. You know, fucking, but you want to do that, and I like living that way, you know, and it was a skill I had too. I'm living towards my skill. Like I said, we talked about how you get into it. It's like I can go back to me pushing somebody picking on my sister in recess. My sister's 4 years older than me, and being in recess, and I remember going over and she's getting picked on by somebody. Yes, it was a girl, but she was 4 years older. All right, you know, and when you're only freaking like 5 or 6 and they're freaking 10, you know, that's a big thing. I remember going and pushing her over because she was making fun of my sister. And it's like one of those things I've just always it's natural. Like, you want to bring up like about it, it's the most natural thing I'm in. Like when I'm fighting or I'm doing stuff like that's life threatening or scary, like, you know, like I zone in and I ain't like, fuck it, I feel good about it. You know?
Do you have the same, I guess, passion that's behind it when you're doing it as a profession at that point? Or is like all the extra bullshit that comes with it, like the media and the coaches and sponsors, and they want you to do this.
You're fucking, you're nailing it out of like you were an athlete.
I played a little bit. I fucked around a little bit.
That's the thing, though, when the joy takes out of it, or you're doing it for other things than just the fight. And that's where I've been. And I'm even in a spot where it's like, oh, you don't do social media enough. You know, it's like, well, but aren't my fights exciting? Like, you're like, oh, but like
some of the most.
Like, I'm sorry, I don't enjoy that side of things. Like, I never have. Like, and I can't fake it, and I can't do it. Like, it's not a thing. So yeah, with that whole process is tough for fighting, and it's a thing that people handle. The sacrifices you got to do and get out of a little bit of what's natural, which is tough for me. Which I'm not saying like we got to do stuff over natural, but it's like there's a reason I've never had a real job. It's not natural. Like I always like it has nothing to do with that. I think it's wrong or right or this or that, but it's not my path. You know, like that's just it. Like I believe in so many things and people can do shit differently, but it's not my way of doing it.
Yeah, I think that's the important part is recognizing that people just do shit differently, man. It's
that's
like
it.
Fucking do your own, mind your own fucking business.
Yeah, do your shit.
And do your shit.
I'm not gonna do anything to like take you off of that or judge you so harshly that make you feel bad about it. It's like, no, you're not. You do you.
Yeah.
That's my mentality on it, you know?
Yeah, no, that's mine too.
It's like if it don't affect me, it don't matter. You know, when it affects me now, all right, we're gonna talk about it. Because if it's affecting me, I'm gonna talk about it right away. You know, because I'm valid. My time is valuable. My life is valuable. And now I have way more people that are valuable. My sons, my wife, they're all that. They're more valuable than me, and I took my shit valuable. So you can only expect how I take that valuable. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like you said, we go back to started. It's like I wrestled. I was good, I wasn't good, I was great, I wasn't great, because sometimes I couldn't balance with making it into something. When I could turn in on that competitor, which I was good. But when I let it go, like I didn't care, and then it was bad, you know. And I don't know, like obviously I got All-Americans in wrestling. I didn't start wrestling until 10th grade. You know, things happen how they happen. I started wrestling in college, All-American, but I knew I was gonna go to fighting next, because it was what I wanted to be. An athlete, dude. I am an athlete. I love working out. I love fucking doing sacrificing shits. It's easier to say I can't do that because I have this. When you have something more important, it's easier not to do certain things.
Yeah.
You know, so I love the athlete life. And I knew it was either try Olympic wrestling or do this for wrestling or fucking go to fighting. I already knew fighting was an easier route, you know? And
there's more money in it, right?
There was
like
money. Only
wrestlers,
so many people. Only so many Olympians actually make money. Like it's like a lot of them don't. You got to get gold really to even make money. Yeah. So if you don't get the gold, and you know how many people don't get that gold, like we can only imagine. I don't got numbers in my head. I've never looked at it.
Conor McGregor money. You're not getting fucking. You're not
Justin, even the top guy ain't. So it's a hard road. It's a great thing. Go ahead, like fucking Olympians, you're the shit. Like you stood at something, and I'll tell you, you're a hard worker and you can focus. You know, but it was that or fighting. Fighting made more sense. You know, it's like I was good at this. I was always good fighting. Like, you know, I'm able to turn it on. I thought this was fighting. Like, just fight. Fuck this dude up. You know, like, you know, all the extra things, you know, at first. Was
that a hard lesson to learn? Like, I mean, how coachable are you, I guess, at that point? Like, how much... You know, I mean, you have to be at the level that you're performing at right now.
I would think you would have to, but there would probably be people that would like argue with like how coachable I am in certain things.
Like some of your coaches.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's
I mean, was there a learning curve there though?
I mean, there's still, you know, like, because I'm not one to really listen the greatest. And, like, when you're coaching something for sure, like, I come in, I'm not a bad person to coach because I'll be the fucking workouts this. I'm not skipping shit. Like, when I started, like, I even tell people now, like, maybe I fucking went too hard. Like, you get it when you're I do feel like there's a building the foundation time, and you have to hone in, and maybe you don't do shit in certain times. I call that building the foundation, you know, but there's stuff in life you got to enjoy the whole journey. And if you're just focused on the wins or this or being this, like being the best podcaster in the world, and that's all that fucking matters, and then you'll miss your fucking kids, and you'll do this and you'll do this. 100%. I'm on Joe Rogan, but fucking when did you see your fucking favorite son? I'm not saying you have a favorite, but fucking
well, I only have one son, okay, so I do, but I got 2 daughters.
Yeah, so it's like
the daughters are the rough ones, because my youngest one is a little shit, and she'll be like, "Dad, I'm your favorite," right? And I'm like, I can't tell you that.
I can't confirm or deny. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. But you say you haven't seen your kids for 30 days. It's like, to me, that's not how it works. It doesn't matter what I ever
my
do.
Career. I used to have a career traveling all over the world. I loved what I did and fucking fucked off just as much as I worked, but I worked really hard. And got to go cool places and do cool things with fucking awesome people.
Yeah.
But my kids took me away from that, dude. I quit that. My daughter's 13. I quit it 13 years ago, man, because it's fucking important, man. And I don't regret any of that.
No, you shouldn't. Yeah. And that's a family person. I get some people that aren't connected the same like that are. Like, that's different. And I can't hate someone that's not connected like that. I get it. If you're fucking, you don't feel, you don't. I'm not gonna say you should. Like, yeah, I think you should. But it's not my point to say. You know, but that's how I know how I do it. And family's the most important. So I get sometimes you got to sacrifice stuff, and if you got to go something for 2 weeks because it's going to benefit your family, or
it's a balance, right?
Or this or this. Yeah. But if you're telling me you're gone months out of the time, and this and that and this and that, and it's fucking how many years later or whatever, it's not worth it. Especially in kids' lives, dude, we see the fucking changes for weeklies and monthlies now. It's a crazy thing to watch. Like, they just change.
It's insane, man. And you know what's crazy is we just let people influence. This is something that I'm starting to realize even more, especially now that my kids are like in grade school and like they change teachers every year and they have different perspectives, and like we're living in such a crazy... I don't know that the world is that crazy right now.
It's always been crazy, but we're seeing it everywhere now.
We're seeing a different side of it,
Before, crazy was just happening in corners of the world, and we didn't pay attention because you can't. We can only see as far as our eyeballs could, but it's everywhere now.
Everybody can see everything,
Everybody can see anything, log into it, and on that point, I think you're saying with like different teachers and shit, I'm on a, which I can be whatever, but most likely my kids won't ever go to school until they choose to, and that's like at a time. And I'm living that because schools weren't good for me. They were always trying to put me on meds. I was a crazy kid, you know. But like authority wasn't important to me. If you acted the wrong way, I didn't care if you were authority.
Yeah,
you didn't get to just act that way because you were older. Like that's how I lived. So you can take and imagine I was always in trouble. You know, and my kids ain't gonna be much different. I have 2 boys and I'm raising them like that. They're not just little obedient fucking little pawn soldiers like that.
Which I think is super important, man.
You know?
I think you have to, I feel like America in general is living too much of a sheltered, pampered life, dude. Like, and it's badass men that forged this country, you know, from the get-go. So it's like, I think we need to keep that in perspective, man. I think that's one positive thing of social media. If you're using it for the right things or the right influences, you know, I think that it is a positive.
Like I said, in that sense, right now, I can't trust who I send my kid to go learn from most of the day.
Yeah,
and that's where I'm at and how I see school, because it wasn't good for me then, and I think it's worse now. You know, they try, like I said, they try to put me in a box or this or that or whatever just because I had a lot of energy, you know. And the thing is,
kids' minds are so malleable too, man. They're so easily influenced. There's a reason why we, you know, put limitations on what kids can and cannot do and what they can see and what they can't see, right? Because
absolutely. So
they're easily influenced.
You know, they're easily influenced. So why do you want another human influencing them that they could? You don't even know what they do behind closed doors. That person actually hates life, hates things, this or that person's actually, you know, a Justin Bieber fan. No hate to Justin Bieber. I was kidding. That dude's come up in a weird life.
Yeah.
That guy, if anybody thinks they could have handled it better than he's handled it, like you who knows? You know, that motherfucker grew up, so no against that. But you know what I'm saying? You don't know what they be doing.
At the end of the day, like, I know people that have worked for him firsthand.
Yeah.
And he, at the end of the day, is just a person.
Oh,
man.
Yeah,
he's just a dude trying to get by.
And that's just a small thing on it. It's like that dude was
whether
put through
you like his music or not.
That guy was put through things at such a young age that you would have collapsed under the pressure. So it's like, it's just crazy. But like I said, you don't know what these teachers are, who they are outside of teaching. It's like, I know who I am. I know who my wife is. I know who her parents are. Like, we keep it close, like tribal, like they used to. You didn't send them out to go learn from anybody else that you don't know what they're doing. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way, because I know some people can't do that. You know, but right now, my kids
unfortunately, I think the world that we're living in, it's like it's set up that way, right? Where you have to have 2 incomes to have a mortgage, to have a new car. And then you live in a state like California that starts implementing, well, now you have to have an electric car. You've recently went through some injuries, right? That you've actually taken time to recover. Like in the past, I know you've probably always dealt with injuries, right? Like,
yeah, unfortunately, injuries have been a big part of my career. I don't know why, and I don't like to, you know, like I've had a lot. I've had 10 surgeries plus, and that's just stuff that I need surgery on. But you know, I had a motorcycle accident like 6 months ago, and during that, it was at 75 miles per hour. I ended up having to tuck and roll like Sonic the Hedgehog, you know, dude. And it affected my, like, I thought I made it out pretty scot-free because
like, what happened?
Well, on Highway 70, someone just slammed on their brakes out of nowhere. Nothing. The person in front of the person, I was about to exit for the gym, and the person in front of me, the person in front of them, slammed on their brakes out of nowhere. You know, and we were going 75, and I was kind of close to the thing. It's my fault. Like, I started to be lazy, and I'm jamming out. I had a bagger at that time, just jamming, you know, and freaking, I was like, I'm exiting in about half a mile or so I'm just there, and I'm just like jamming. I didn't pay attention. When she slammed on her brakes, I was riding in the middle of the two of us where, you know, if I didn't slam on my brakes, I'm slamming into her, you know, this or that. So I locked up my brakes, and I flew over freaking, like I said, I flew through the air, freaking, because I slammed on the brakes at 75, flew through the air, did a couple rolls, ran it out because I rolled a few times and my momentum was still going.
Of course you did.
Then I ran it out a little bit. And then I remember going over to
this is how Brandon crashes on motorcycles.
The guardrail. I did like a box jump on the guardrail because I was pissed. I was like, "Fuck! What just happened?" And I go over to the lady. I'm like, "What happened?" She's like, "Oh, he slammed on the brakes." The other guy that stopped with it was like, "Dude, he's like, you just started running. I thought you were gonna run away." I was like, "Dude," and I had no helmet on. I just took off my leather jacket because it was like 90 some degrees, and I was like, "Oh, whatever." I took off my jacket, so I had no protective gear on whatsoever. No protective gear, no helmet, no freaking leather jacket. I was wearing fucking Lululemon fucking wind pants, like just being so I took that as a like, bro, you live in reckless.
Human crayon?
I'm like, you live in.
Did you get any skin?
I had, so I got stitches in my like elbows.
Oh, damn.
No, like right here, I had some stitches.
But not too bad, huh?
Nothing crazy.
Because you know that's what they call that, right?
What?
Human crayon. You know, like with crayon when you put it across paper, bro?
So most people would, like I said, I hit that ground and I did a triple fucking and then started running. And like that's one of the ones I can't wait to watch when I go to
70
heaven.
miles an hour.
That's what I can't wait to watch. Like watch this one where you skip fucking death, Girtz, and God's showing me that shit. And I'm like, yeah, I want to see this one, you know, because I have a few. I have a few. That I have a few. I want to see this one because I just talked and rolled. This arm and everything was worse. Like this is the one I had. Like a bone, ended up being a bone bruise, like a couple tears and some stitches, but I didn't touch my face, I didn't touch my head. I tucked, I rolled, I ran it out. Damn. And it was one of those things where it was like, bro, and I'm out there, no protective gear, wearing fucking Lululemon pants. I'm like, all right, bro, like chill. Like you got kids, like lock in a little more. Like that was one of those moments. Like you're not really hurt. You can go home and be fine. Like just emergency room for a little bit, stitches, this or that, send them home. You know. But that's you gotta be grateful for this. So I took it as that. I didn't take it as like don't be on. I got another motorcycle in the next week. I wasn't. It wasn't. Don't be on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You know. Don't live.
Well,
life,
I think it's just you can't get lazy on one, man.
Don't
I've ridden my
get
whole
lazy
life.
on it.
If you don't keep your head on a swivel and if you're not watching 10 cars ahead of you,
everything,
like,
that's big. And that's why I've always said you drive a motorcycle aggressively, and that's usually how I drive. But like on the bagger, it's big, it's radio blaring. You're just like, so you get next bike nimble now. It's like I'm not doing that no more.
You know what's crazy is my entire childhood. I grew up really poor, but one of the things that I always had as a kid was a dirt bike, right? And that was like my motor it was my life, dude.
Oh yeah.
The only reason I had a job was to put gas in those fuckers, dude. I fucking loved it.
It's a huge thing.
So I grew up with my feet always underneath me. I could still ride a wheelie. You know, like I was pretty good on a bike, not like pro motocross or anything like that, right?
No, but you can get on a bike and ride it.
It really taught me how to ride, right?
Yeah,
like
any
I've
type
ridden
of bike.
crotch rockets, and then a little bit later on, I got into Harleys because they were cool, man. I fucking just have a fascination with them. But I was into more of like not what you think of Harleys today. I was into more like the club bikes, right? So like the FXRs. And,
a little sporty to them, little sport to
them. You can ride off a curve or like do a U-turn in real quick. Little supermoto Harley action, I guess. Especially living up here because I'd like to throw the fly rod on and go like
go off road a little bit. Dirt road. Get me there. I don't have to be ripping, but like get off a little bit. Yeah. Like the Ducati Scrambler is one of my favorite.
Well, even in LA, I rode T-bars and stuff because you could split lanes, and it was like that's how I commuted to work and everything. So when my daughter was
split lanes everywhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. California has all these rules, dude, but like that's one of the craziest
that they let do because not a lot of places do.
It's wild.
That's not a lot of places do. It's fucking great.
That was the most shocking thing when I was in traffic in LA, and I saw some dude blow by me in the middle lane.
Dude, there's a safe way to do that too, man. Like,
I thought this was like California. You're not allowed to. No, you're totally
Yeah.
No,
that's
one
all
that they
right.
let. That's all the other
the
things
one
they
thing.
don't let.
As long as you're vaccinated.
But that was fine. That was fine. Like rip
Yeah.
through the center. Rip through the center. But as long as you have your helmet on.
Yeah.
So yeah, when my daughter was born, I was like, I need to chill out because I was riding with some dudes that were pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
We were doing some stupid shit in California, like fucking getting wild on bikes, and we had a good time.
Yeah.
But my daughter was born. I was like, I need to chill this shit out because I'd seen a few people wreck and I've seen some bad shit. And I actually had a couple friends die on the highway, and
it's real. It's real.
So it's no joke, man. You got to take that shit serious. So I went out and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a brand new Harley.
Yeah.
I'm getting Ford. I kept the FXR, kept it in the garage just in case.
Yeah, it's crazy. Changed my mind.
I ended up getting it was not a lowrider, it was a wide glide.
Yeah.
Right,
Nice
2010.
bike. Nice
My
bike.
daughter was born. It had forward controls. I was like, okay, I'm going old man, dude. This is like old guys ride with forward controls. It had it came stock with like a sissy bar on the back, and I was like, right away, I was like, I'm taking that shit off, dude. Like, I'm not. I was always a minimalist, right? Like, how can we cut weight? Performance. So I cut the back fender, dude. I'm riding it to work. Had never really been in an accident on my Harleys just because I feel like I'm very conscious, right? Like I've had some fucking close calls, dude.
Yeah.
And
if
you're gonna have
close
yeah,
calls.
yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, and none of them I ever really felt were my fault. Like I didn't really fuck around that much. Like riding my motorcycle drunk is probably some of the stupidest shit I've ever done. But But anyways, I'm sitting at a stoplight, arms crossed, waiting for the light to turn, and I got rear-ended in that bike, and it shot out from underneath me. And if I would have been on one of my FXRs or something, I'd have been fucked because my pegs would have been behind me. But it just knocked the bike right out from underneath me, and I'm laying on my back. But man, and then I almost got in a wreck on it. I had a guy swerve at me on purpose coming home from work late, and you know, I had loud pipes on it, and I'm always one not to ride right next to somebody, so I go around and fast.
It's like I said, aggressive driving.
And this guy got aggressive and like swerved into my lane and swerved. I had to go into the opposite lane of traffic, and luckily it was late at night, and we got into it at the next stoplight. But anyways, I barely made it out of that because I had forward controls because I was so relaxed. I was like, fuck, I'm never riding with these. So I even think like on those baggers and stuff where you see guys like stretched out. Dude, you're not nimble. You're not going anywhere. Like
legs
think about
out, legs kicked out. Like it's a different
You
ride.
might as well fight in a lazy boy or something.
It's a different ride, you know? So it's, So, yeah, riding's a trip though. Like I said, different. If you know how to ride, I'm not saying you're a different level as a person, but being able to ride shit with two wheels is a skill, and I think it's an important skill set, and it kind of molds you as a man a little bit because you have, like you said, you have to be fucking on your P's and Q's on it because anything can pop out, guy. Fucking, you gotta be able to maneuver like the balls it takes on the two wheels, especially fucking moving that quick. It's crazy. There's
I hit an elk up here.
That's what I'm saying. He's smoking. I've closed on some stuff, you know. Like I've never hit anything big like that, but been close on deer and shit. Minnesota, there's deer crossing everywhere. Yeah. And when you're flying around at night, being who you are, being an idiot, you know, like shit can happen, you know. So it's those are one of those things. It's like. Yeah, I love riding though, and I'll always do it. But you got to get smarter with everything. If you're like I've told people, if you're living your life the same way you lived it fucking a year ago, 5 years ago, definitely 10 years ago, then you are not growing. You know, if I'm still living and doing stuff fast in that type of manner, I haven't grown in any other way and doing new things. Because the older we start doing new things that are important. New things become important, right? Yeah. Like obviously now we both have children, mine are, you know, but it's like that's important. That's the most important. That didn't have that before. You can't replicate it. I have a dog and he's the most important thing to me in the world. But your half it's a different thing.
It's that little voice in the back of your head. Yeah.
So
for sure.
You know, so things change and you have to change with life. It's growth. You know.
So coming back to that, like you feeling 100%? What's going on in the fight game, man? Is it
so? Right now, it's kind of. I'm not gonna push past things if I don't have to, and if it doesn't make sense. Like back in the day, I would probably fought and Ray a long time ago because I would just took it and done it and pushed through it. And now I'm in my life like my kids are important. So if I like push through something, get injured or this, like I lose time with them. I can't do my part as a dad and provide. And so I'm not in no jump to do stuff. If it makes sense, I'll do it right now, you know, but fighting's dangerous. You know, like it's fully dangerous, and I do plan on fighting again at some point, but it has to make sense, you know, because right now it's not about me. It's not me about caring that if I get hurt, I don't fucking care, because that's how it was before. Part of it all. It's part of the sacrifice. It's part of what you sign up for, you know. But now with my kids and shit like that, I'm not in a rush to do it. And after that motorcycle accident, I mean, for a little bit, and then once I found, like, I didn't even know my shoulder I had a bone bruise or a tear or this or that. Like, I was just going for I was like, they're sore, of course. What happened? They're sore, you know, but they never went away, you know. And like I said, I wasn't at a point where I would have pushed through it at times. But now more things are important. Fighting isn't my number one thing right now. My kids are my number one thing. Setting up a life that's enjoyable with them is my number one thing. You know, now giving back to like the sport I've done for a while. Like right now, I'm at the gym and I'm helping more than I've ever helped before, because it's not just about me, you know. So I'm there trying to help people more than I've ever probably given back. Well, not probably, for sure giving back in my career, you know, because I was selfish with it to make it somewhere, you know, because it's a fucking hard game to play. And if you're out giving your time and your energy for other people, that takes away from you trying to do something, you know. So now life's different. There's a lot of places to put it, and if I can't fully put it in the fighting, or if it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to do it now. Yeah. You know, and that's where it's at right now. At some time I'll fight and be with bare knuckle fucking MMA, or I'm not saying MMA, you never know, but fucking be the bare knuckle and
because Bellator is not an option anymore, right?
I mean, nothing's ever now an option in the fight game. Like, you never know, but Bellator with the merger with PFL, like, you don't know what's going on with anything. And now, again, I'm later in my career where what makes sense and what doesn't, you know. So, and that's where I'm living. I don't have to fight. I do it because I do love it, and it is a way to provide. And it just, you know, I still have that itch for it, you know, and I'll always be a part of it. And that's why, you know, now I'm trying to give back to the sport a little bit more. I'm fucking doing stuff at my gym, Genesis, more, you know, helping out and trying to, you know, push the knowledge a little bit more. And that's, you know, where I'm at in life with everything, with, you know, the working, helping at the gym and freaking working at the land and doing stuff like that. It's like I'm kind of trying to give back some skills now and give and produce in that type of way, you know.
Hell so yeah. Well, awesome, man. I appreciate you giving your time and coming up here. We're gonna wrap this shit up, but man, this was a great time. I'd love to have you back sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had some of the homies in, and I'd love to add you to that list anytime. You're right up the road.
Yeah.
Or let's hang out outside of here, dude.
Absolutely,
let's do some Stone Tool shit or whatever, dude. So,
bro.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hell
Absolutely.
yeah.
Good
Brandon,
time.
thank you so much. Real quick before we jump off, anything you want to drop? Any news coming up? Any, is it at Brandon Girtz?
Yeah,
MMA?
you can just catch me on there. You know,
follow him on. Dude, I love this quote that you posted too, man.
Yeah,
a fit body, a calm mind, a house full of love. These are things that cannot be bought.
And you know, that's
they must be earned.
Something you learn through life. The things that are important can't be bought. You know, and I thoroughly believe in that. You know, money is very important. We all know that, and it is. But fucking the things that are important. So if you're taking away from those, and you know, it's now the things that's like, well, then what doesn't make sense. I could have all the money in the world.
Look at that. That's awesome.
Dude, knock it off. That's what's happening right here.
Look at that. That's what I'm saying. If it takes away from these guys, you know, that's not important to me. You know, these are the people that are important to me now.
Isn't it crazy how much of a madman you were before them, and then you throw them on top of it, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's
endless what I'll do to save that.
Now I know why people go away for murder.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like you've added an element that
it's a different thing, and you can't. You know, but love is love, and I've always been a great loving person. Like, I would have went to jail for everything for anybody I loved. You know, like, so, like, you know, like, that's the thing. Like, but these guys,
is a different level, though.
This is a different level, and I always say to my girl, it's like, he's half you and half me, and how does that get any more strong or crazy? You know, if you ask me that, like, you were seeing another half of you now for the first time ever. You created life. you know. And if that ain't nuts to you, then you're really not looking into the days, you know. You're not really being passionate about your life.
Or just taking a step back and looking at the big picture of shit, right?
Yeah, this is a half you, man. You know, when you look at your kid, and it's nutty. So, like I said, that's what's important now. I'm just out, like I said, trying to give back, you know, to the sport that I've done, because I love being involved in it, you know, and helping. Genesis has been my home, you know, since I've been here in Colorado for the most time, since it's been Genesis. You know, my guy Jake is the shit. So, like, being a part of the gym was always probably a possibility there, especially I've been with that guy in Genesis for over 10 years, you know. So it's like one of those things where it's like you see what's coming next and stuff, you know, and that's always something I'm going to be a part of and help and grow and enjoy. You know, it's you build a family in those things. So, you know, that's what I'm up to now. I'm working on that land. Like you can see, that's my first shed right there. That's the first shed. Oh,
that's a great picture of you and Grant, too.
That's my guy.
Hell yeah.
G. But that's my first shed right there that I built. First thing I've ever really built by myself.
That thing's awesome.
Trying to make it a little natural looking. It's in the middle. Like I said, I'm not trying to take from the land. I'm trying to make everything look, you know, part of it in ways. So it's been a process, man. Never, like I said, never built anything, never cut down a freaking tree by myself. You know, I go out, get a skid steer, go out, get these things, and try to see what can go on. You know, yeah, it's fun, man. So that's what I'm up to.
I'm glad you're enjoying it, man.
Yeah, we'll see what everything turns out to. You know, I wanna, you know, show some stuff, and you know, like I said, make a place that other people can enjoy. You know,
hell yeah.
So
awesome, man. Well, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Jeremy, you good?
All good.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Give Brandon a follow. Brandon Girtz, MMA on Instagram. And, yeah, check out Genesis, right? Fight?
Yeah.
Is it open to the public?
Yeah, it is. It's a gym that, like I said, you come there and you learn boxing or kickboxing at night. You know, it's got the fight team, but like any gym, it's teaching everybody. You know, so it's a big gym there, and like, you know, you can come there, freaking check out my class I'm doing nowadays. You know, I do a class every Tuesday and Thursday, a boxing class, and trying to give back to everything, and you know, it's a fun thing to put your knowledge out there in a way, and you start like I'm really enjoying, you know, trying to teach the next generation, you know, the next people or anybody that wants to get better at some stuff, you know.
Hell yeah, check them out. Thanks everybody for listening. Jeremy, take us away.
Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. If you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com.